Hey girls and boys, this assignment is called Fraction Fun. Using the fraction cards that are either in your packet or you can create some of your own. Choose two cards and compare the fractions by using greater than, less than, or equal to. Add the fractions, but don't forget to find the common denominator. Subtract the fractions, again, don't forget to find a common denominator, and multiply the fractions. So over on the right side, I have created an example for you. And the two fraction cards that I selected were 1/2 and 3/4. Um, for the purpose of subtracting, I decided to use 3/4 in all of my examples first so that I didn't go into negative numbers. So the first section, I wrote 3/4 is greater than 1/2 because we know it's bigger. If we put it on the number line, we could see that. The next part was addition. So my problem is 3/4 plus 1/2. So I need to find common denominators. So I know that 4 is a multiple of 2. So I decided that my common denominator would be 4. So in the next row down, I had 3/4 and I kept that as 3/4 because 4 is going to be my denominator. The next row, I did 1/2 times what special form of 1 gets me to 4 as a denominator. And in this case, it is 2 seconds will be my special form of 1. So 1/2 times 2 seconds is 2/4. So now my problem becomes 2/4 plus 3/4, which equals 5/4 since we add our numerators across and the denominator remains the same. So 5/4 is what type of fraction? It's an improper fraction since the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So in this problem, I chose to simplify by taking my 5/4 and subtracting a special form of 1 that uses the same denominator um, to help me find my answer. So I subtracted 4/4, so I know I've taken one group of 1 out, and I have 1/4 left, which is now a proper fraction, so that doesn't need to be simplified. And like I said, I had already taken one group of 1 out, so I have 1 and 1/4 for my final answer on this problem. Next, I'm looking at subtracting my chosen fractions. I have 3/4 minus 2/4 because I wanted to just keep my fraction from the common denominator, the fraction with the common denominator. So I just kept my 2/4 that I found in my first equation. So 3/4 minus 2/4. And in this one, we can just subtract right across our numerators. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and then our denominator remains the same. So we end up with 1/4. I don't Sorry, that popped onto another page for a second. So we end up with 1/4. Then with our multiplication, 3/4 times 1/2. Our numerators, we just multiply across. 3 times 1 equals 3. Denominators, multiply across. 3 times 2 equals 8. So we know our numerator is 3 and our denominator is 8, which gives us 3/8. Now this one happened to be in its simplest form, since 3 is a prime number and we can't find any more factors for that number besides 1 and 3. So you guys can go ahead and try this. Obviously, some fractions will be more difficult than others, but feel free to play around and you can do this like